Vibrant colors is my signature look. Let's talk about how to achieve that vibrant color and the paint that may change my style forever.
The first thing I like to do when working with vibrant colors is zenithal highlighting.
It is crucial to use white as a base layer when working with vibrant colors, as they are often translucent. White gives bright colors the base they need to really shine.
My favorite way to apply neon vibrant colors is through an airbrush. Neon colors frequently require multiple layers, and an airbrush allows that to happen with ease. For this project, I'm really excited to use these golden Soflat Fluorescent Paints. However, some of these paints should not be airbrushed. Instead, I'll be using my default technique, using vibrant inks and adding paint.
Inks are frequently a lot more vibrant than normal paint, and they are very intense in color. Since inks are translucent, I mix them with similar paint to keep the vibrancy of my inks while gaining some of the opacity of paint. In the end, I want this fabric to be orange. I used magenta for my shadows to make the fabric look far more interesting. If you want to learn more about working with bright colors in this way, check out this video here.
Then I'm onto the squigs, face, and staff, covering up areas I don't want hit with silly putty. Okay, let's crack open these golden Soflat paints and put them on my palette. I'm starting by trying to mix a color similar to the color that I had created with my airbrush.
I'm aiming for a thicker glaze consistency. It's going to be nigh impossible for me to match the colors I applied with my airbrush using these different paints, so a glaze will give me some wiggle room to blend up towards these new Soflat paints. Once I have created a seamless transition, I can begin to use the Soflat paints in a layer consistency.
Wow, this paint is so vibrant. I'm honestly a bit floored.
The paints are a bit thick. I would compare them in consistency to Chimera, thus they definitely need to be thinned.
But the opacity on this paint is just freaking wild.
If the fluorescent paints you're working with aren't as opaque as these golden Soflat paints, you can mix in white to add opacity and then go over that with your pure fluorescent color. Even though this paint is very opaque, since I am glazing, I will still need to do several layers.
I'm slowly moving from my mixture of magenta and Soflat pink and orange to pure Soflat orange. Again, glazing in the whole time. Okay, so as I'm working, I'm noticing that a texture is starting to build up on the cape. Maybe golden Soflat takes longer to dry than I am used to, and so that's how I accidentally made that texture. It could also be that golden Soflat paint has its own texture in itself, but for the vibrancy of color you get, totally worth working with.
You don't go here. What? Why? Why is this? No.
It is important when working with vibrant colors to not only focus on the high points, but on the shadows as well. You need to have that darkness to contrast the vibrancy. When working with vibrant paint, I recommend using a color other than black or brown to create your shadows, as both of these colors will desaturate your color. Instead, use a more vibrant shadow color like purple or blue. This miniature is part of a collaboration for Pride Month. Sugar Candy Miniatures, Dana Howl, Goobertown, and many more have painted minis for a clown-themed Gloomspite Gitz Army. And the best part is, you can join the horde too. Paint a goblin mini with rainbow colors for Pride and share on Instagram using the hashtag ClownGobos. If you want to do more than paint miniatures for Pride, check out the charity button below to donate to the Trevor Project,
which is an organization which provides confidential crisis intervention services as well as providing advocacy for LGBTQ+ rights, creating safe spaces, and educational content. Alright, let's talk about the non-metallic metal on the crown of this goblin. The plan is to make a variety of blue shades mixed with my cobalt teal from Golden Soflat so that I can get the same vibrancy and intensity as the cape.
When working with vibrant colors, you need to consider how those areas will draw the eye and use them appropriately. I can get away with the intense orange fabric because the intensity of the skin, the crown, and all the little accessories is similar. If I did not build up similar vibrancy in contrast, everything else would get lost to the brightness of the cape.
Okay, so it seems like the more you mix this Golden Soflat with other paints, the easier it is to work with, because I'm not noticing that same sort of textural buildup on the crown that I did with the cape. And on to my favorite last steps, lining and final highlights. Lining is just taking a darker color and painting in the shadows those areas would give. Imagine it like the outlines in our coloring book.
On areas like the cape that are flat and open, I'll use a darker color. For example, a brick red. On areas that have a high concentration of detail, I'll do black. Lining helps give our eyes visual breaks, which we need when looking at something with such vibrant color.
Alright, and lastly is final highlights.
To achieve that final pop that I'm looking for, I'm mixing in white and the neon yellow to my orange and green respectively. First, we need to push our highlights further than we might otherwise to compete with our extremely saturated colors. Adding just white would desaturate the color, and thus the vibrancy. Adding in yellow allows us to lighten the colors while still keeping the vibrancy we are looking for.
And here is my final model for the Gloomspite Gitz Pride Army. Alright, so Golden Soflat Fluorescent set? Absolutely. Let me know, will you be trying the Golden Soflat paints? If so, let me know down in the comments. Alright, you know how to support me. Like, comment, subscribe, go join me over on Patreon. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time.